This short training program is designed to review some basic safety policies and procedures you'll be using while working at our job sites. The most important thing to remember is that you are responsible for safety and health. We can provide a safe and healthful work environment, the equipment and materials, but it's up to each individual to work and act safely on the job. We don't have any job that can't be performed in a safe and healthful manner. If it's unsafe to do, don't do it. That's our policy. Okay, let's look at some basic safety guidelines for each person on our job sites. Report to work rested, alert, and ready to give your undivided attention to the job. Wear proper footwear, such as boots with non-slippery soles and heels. Be sure your boot laces are tied properly and won't cause tripping hazards. Wear appropriate clothing. Head protection from falling items is provided by hard hats. Don't modify your hard hat by cutting air holes in them. This causes a weakness in the design of the hat and could be hazardous. Regardless of who provides the hand or power tools you use, all tools must be in good, serviceable condition. If a tool is broken or is hazardous, don't use it until it's repaired or replaced. Alcohol or drugs on any job site is prohibited, as is the residual effects of these substances from off-duty use. A person using alcohol or drugs is impaired to varying degrees. In the construction industry, even minor impairment can result in an accident. One of the most important responsibilities for accident prevention is to use common sense and think about the job you're performing before you begin the job. The vast majority of accidents and injuries in the workplace is the result of unsafe acts of employees. Not watching where you're going, taking chances, not following the rules, or just plain negligence. It's up to each individual to think about safety and to perform every job in a safe and healthy manner. No horseplay, practical jokes, or tampering with other workers' tools and equipment. Construction work is serious business, and safety is a very important part of your job. On every job site, we have first aid equipment, so if you experience an injury, report it to your foreman so medical care can be provided. Report all accidents and injuries when they occur, so we may take steps to see the same accident doesn't occur again. If you have any questions about anything, ask your foreman or job site superintendent. If you see a hazardous or potential problem, report it to your foreman. It's everyone's responsibility, so report any hazard. It's much better to correct the hazard before it becomes an accident. One thing we've learned over the years, housekeeping is critical. If you have a sloppy job site, you create hazards. These hazards are invitations to injury. Keep your work area neat, clean, and organized as much as possible. When you finish a job, clean up the area. If you see lumber with nails in it, hammer the nails down to prevent a foot injury. Paper bags, debris, and other hazards should be cleaned up as quickly as possible. Put tools and other equipment in its proper place. You may be using electrical power tools and equipment. Inspect the equipment every day before you use it. Inspect saws to make sure the guards are in place and functioning properly. Never tie back or render any guard unserviceable. Guards are for your protection. Inspect all electrical cords, plugs, and cables for frays, cracks, or cuts. An electrical cord may not be repaired by electrical tape. The cord must be replaced. There are basically two types of shock protection for electrical tools. One is the grounded system, which means the third prong on the plug is a ground. There is a ground wire that leads from the tool to the ground prong, and when the plug is inserted into an electrical receptacle, the prong plugs into the ground wire leading to earth. This is your protection from shock in the event something malfunctions in the electrical tool. If the ground wire is cut or the ground prong is broken off, you have no protection. The second type of protection is provided by double insulation inside a tool that has a double insulation stamped on the tool by the manufacturer. This stamp tells you the inside parts are insulated, and this is your protection from shock hazards. With double insulated tools, you don't need the grounded type plug. Ground fault circuit interrupters are also used to shut off the electrical power in the event of a tool or system malfunction. Regardless of the type of shock protection you use, it will do no good in and around water or other liquids. Even perspiration on your hands can become hazardous when using electrical tools. Don't use any electrical tools in a wet environment, and certainly never allow electrical cords, plugs, or cables to get wet or lay in water or other liquids. Everyone has used ladders on the job site and at home. There are many rules about ladders, but let's just review a few of the more important safeguards when using any type of ladder. Be sure the ground or floor surface is stable and will support the ladder and load. Of course, inspect the ladder to make sure it's in good condition, without defects. When using ladders, make sure it's the right ladder for the job and that your hands and footwear aren't slippery. Check the rungs to make sure they're not slippery either. When going up or down a ladder, hold the outside rails with both hands. Hoist tools and other equipment to the work area, but don't try to carry them up or down the ladder. Never lean the middle of your body outside the ladder rails. When you lean past your belt buckle, the center of gravity is shifted and you can cause the ladder to fall. When you use a straight ladder, use the 4-to-1 rule. For every 4 feet in height, move the ladder from the base of the support out 1 foot from vertical. It's called the 4-to-1 rule. If you have a 12-foot ladder, place it about 3 feet from the vertical support. Make sure the ladder feet or spikes are in good condition and working properly. When you must step off a straight ladder, the ladder height must extend 36 inches above the support. This gives you a good handhold to get on and off the roof or other type of landing. It's a good idea to tie off the ladder at the support section to prevent the ladder from slipping. If you use step ladders, never stand on the top 2 steps. When you step on the top 2 steps, the center of gravity is shifted and the ladder can easily tip over. Don't use any ladder that's not in good condition. Naturally, metal ladders are good electrical conductors, so don't use metal ladders on or near electrical equipment, and certainly never near electrical power lines. Fiberglass or wooden ladders should be used when working with or near electricity. Of course, job site ladders and step stools made from scrap lumber will pop up from time to time on a job site, but stay away from ladders that aren't up to code or may have been built poorly. Use proper ladders. When we talk about hazard improvisation, this means someone is changing or misusing equipment, making a safe piece of equipment into an unsafe hazard. It's like using a ladder in a way it's not intended to be used. It's like using a screwdriver as a hammer. Use the proper tool for the proper job. Don't improvise. Don't create a hazard. Think safety before you do anything. On any construction job site, you'll be working with other trades who may or may not be a part of the company. Safety is extremely important. Other trades may have specific hazards for which you may not be aware, such as plumbers who use solder and other chemicals and materials, roofers who work at heights which could cause tools and materials to fall from above, masons with cement, bricks, and a wide variety of forklifts, wheelbarrows, and other equipment. It's up to you to watch out and look for potential hazards, particularly from other people on the job site. The framing trade has some basic rules that all framers use to prevent accidents and injuries. One rule is that framers should do as much work on the ground as possible, such as drilling beams and bolting them together. Once you get a beam off the ground, it's heavy and hard to work with. As much as possible, drill and bolt the beams together on the ground. When it's necessary to work off the ground, a forklift may be used to lift you up. Never ride on the forks of any forklift. If you're going to be lifted, use a platform that has guardrails to prevent you from falling off the platform. The platform must be secured to the forklift with rope or chain, and the forklift operator must remain at the controls while you're being lifted. Of course, only those persons trained and authorized to operate a forklift and other equipment may actually operate the equipment. If you haven't been trained by the company, don't operate the equipment. This includes air compressors, pneumatic nail guns, skill saws, cut-off saws, and any other equipment. Another safety rule is to watch out and exercise caution when setting columns or prefabricated walls. The greatest risk is when lifting the material. Quite often the bottom will kick out and cause an injury, or cause the column or wall to fall. When lifting these structures, go slow, watch for kickouts, and exercise caution. We mentioned machine guarding earlier, but let's mention it again because it's important. Cut-off saws, skill saws, air compressors, and other machines and tools have guards installed by the manufacturer. The purpose of the guard is to prevent injuries. Never remove any guard. Never render a guard ineffective by tying it back. Or never operate any machine or tool unless the guard is installed and is working properly. Pneumatic nail guns are quite useful in our industry, but they do require your effort to make them safe tools to use. Never aim a nail gun at anyone. A nail gun is just like a pistol. If you pull the trigger, a nail is going to shoot out of the barrel. No horseplay. Use the equipment as it was intended. Of course, anytime you're using a drill, a skill saw, or any type equipment, such as a nail gun or even a hammer and nail, wear eye protection. Without eye protection, you're taking a chance, so always wear eye protection because your eyes deserve the best protection possible. Do you lift anything on the job? Probably about 50 to 1,000 times a day. You lift tools, lunch buckets, lumber. You're lifting something all the time, so use your good judgment when lifting anything. The proper lifting technique is well known by everyone, but let's review the basics. The purpose of lifting safely is to prevent potential back injuries. Most back injuries aren't really the result of damage to your back, but damage to your discs, ligaments, and muscles. Your back is a delicate and complex part of your body. It's composed of your bones, nerves, discs, and ligaments. The bones are separated by discs. These discs serve as a shock absorber between the bones and give you flexibility of movement. The discs look like soft hockey pucks and are filled with liquid. The whole idea about safe lifting is to keep these discs aligned properly between your bones, so the pressure of your body and anything you lift will be spread evenly across the entire surface of the discs. When you bend your back like this, you're putting pressure on one side of the discs, which creates tremendous pressure on one side. If you bend down like this, your back remains in its natural curvature and the discs are spread evenly across the bones. All the pressure is spread evenly, so the discs are protected and are able to provide the necessary support. When you lift anything, scrap lumber, heavy pieces, or whatever, always bend your legs, not your back. If the piece of material you're going to lift is too heavy, get help. There's no reason to lift something that's too heavy. Use a forklift or someone to help you because your safety is too important to take chances. Another way to prevent back injuries is not to lift and twist. When you lift and twist, the vertebra and discs are twisted, which can cause damage to the discs. Stretching can cause the ligaments in your back to tear. Ligaments are like rubber bands, and they help to support your back, just like muscles support the bones in your body. Ligaments will stretch, but if you stretch too far, or stretch with jerky moves, these ligaments can tear and are quite painful. There are hundreds of lifting assignments where you can't always lift by bending your legs. So when these jobs occur, take a minute to think about your back. Think how the discs are lined up between the bones in your back and keep these discs spread evenly. If you do that, you'll know the proper way to lift. Use a free hand to provide support to your back when possible. Use your legs as support. Use anything you can to make your job easier and more productive. Don't take chances by bending your back because every time you do, you're putting too much pressure on those discs. Your back needs to warm up before you begin working. Take a few minutes before you start to work to limber up. A few stretching exercises will go a long way to protect your back from disc and ligament damage. Have we left anything out of this program? Probably 500 other safety rules and tips. But the purpose has been to review some basics to help you to perform your job better and more safely. You're the professional. You're a skilled tradesman with the knowledge to do your job. All we're asking is your cooperation in our safety efforts to make the job safer for all employees. Safety is nothing more than exercising good judgment, taking the time to think about safety before you do the job, and certainly following the safety rules. No magic formula, no secrets, just common sense. If you take the time for safety, it's difficult to experience an accident or injury. We care about all our employees and believe that one accident is too many. Thank you.